Have you ever wondered why the West found it so easy to eliminate African leaders who stood up to them? Why the strongest voices for freedom were always silenced from within? The truth is chilling. They never needed an army. They never needed an invasion. All they needed was someone close, a friend, a guard, a trusted face standing just a few steps away. This same method was quietly set in motion for President Ibrahim Traoré, a plan designed in the shadows, executed through betrayal, but this time, it failed. According to Traoré's own bodyguard, foreign agents offered him $5 million and full citizenship for his entire family, all in exchange for one thing: pull the trigger, end Traoré's life. But his response stunned them, a response that may be the only reason the young captain is still alive today. In this video, we dive deep into that moment, into the loyalty that saved Traoré, and the long, tragic history of African leaders who were betrayed not by their enemies, but by the people closest to them. It is now a confirmed fact. President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso is the most targeted African leader alive today. He hasn't survived 1 or 2 attacks. He has survived more than 18 known assassination and coup attempts. 18. Most presidents do not survive even 1. These plots didn't come only from outside forces. Many were quietly engineered by foreign intelligence networks, but some were born much closer, inside the Burkinabe military, and even among ordinary citizens who were turned, bribed, or misled. Yet, against all odds, Traoré is still standing. Not because he is superhuman, not because he never sleeps, not because he walks around covered in armor. He is alive for one simple reason: loyalty. A small circle of men who refused to sell him out, even when the price tag on his life reached millions, and at the center of that circle stands one man, his bodyguard, the man the world now calls Traoré's shield. His name may never be known, but his loyalty has traveled across the entire African continent. People speak of him with respect. Some call him a hero, others call him a guardian. But everyone agrees on one thing: without him, President Traoré might not be alive today. And this loyalty raises a painful question. If the great Pan-African leaders of the past, Lumumba, Sankara, Nkrumah, had men like him by their side, would they have survived the betrayals that ended their dreams? What we know is this: Traoré's bodyguard was quietly approached in secret. Foreign agents, identities hidden for security, reached out to him with an offer that would break most men a fortune: a new life, a way out. But this wasn't just about money. It was about stopping a leader who had become a symbol of resistance. Because from the first day he came to power, Traoré made one thing clear: he would not bow to foreign powers. He would not trade Burkina Faso's sovereignty for aid, approval, or applause. He chose independence, even if it meant standing alone. And in Africa, history has shown us repeatedly: any leader who stands against the West does not stay in power for long. History has already answered this question for us. Leaders who stand against Western power do not last. They are removed, or they are eliminated. But look closely and you will notice something strange. The most corrupt African presidents, the ones who rig elections, stay in power for 40 years, silence their people, and steal national resources, have never faced a single Western-backed coup, not one serious assassination attempt, no sanctions, no regime change operations, nothing. Think about it. Why has the president of Equatorial Guinea ruled for decades untouched? Why has Cameroon been under the same leader since the early 1980s, with zero Western interference? Why do these governments stay protected decade after decade? The answer is painfully obvious. The West does not care about good governance in Africa. They only care about alignment. If you are pro-West, you are safe. If you obey, you are protected. If you serve their interests, they will turn a blind eye to any corruption, any election fraud, any abuse of power. But the moment you stand against their influence, like Gaddafi, like Sankara, like Patrice Lumumba, you become a target. You become a problem that must be removed. This is why it is shocking to hear some people within Africa call Traoré a dictator hungry for power. If he were truly a dictator benefiting from the West, why has he survived more than 18 assassination attempts? Why is he constantly hunted, sabotaged, and targeted? People forget one simple truth. A bad leader makes sure everyone around him is well-fed and loyal. He buys silence. He shares power with corrupt ministers. He keeps his circle happy so no one turns against him. That is the secret behind most long-lasting African dictatorships. The president enjoys wealth, and he lets everyone around him enjoy a piece of it too. Traoré has refused to play that game, and that is exactly why they want him gone. But Traoré's situation is completely different, and that difference is exactly why some people inside Burkina Faso have secretly worked with foreign powers to remove him. As we said earlier, when the West wants to eliminate an African leader, they never start from the outside. They start from within. Someone close, someone trusted, someone who can get near the leader at their weakest moment. And in Traoré's case, they went straight for the one man who had the highest access, his bodyguard, a man who walks beside him every day, a man who sees him at his strongest and at his most vulnerable, a man who knows his routines, his habits, his quiet moments. This was the person foreign agents reached out to. According to him, the offer was simple and terrifying. $5 million, full citizenship for him and his family, a new life, far from Burkina Faso, in exchange for one act: kill President Traoré. But the most disturbing part wasn't the money, it was the plan. They even told him the perfect moment to strike, when Traoré bends down to pray. Just think about that for a second. How dark is that? Traoré is a Muslim. We have seen countless photos and videos of him praying in public surrounded by ordinary citizens. During prayer, he is not a president. He is not a soldier. He is simply a man talking to his God. And in that moment, he is exposed, head bowed, eyes closed, without suspicion or fear. He feels safe because he trusts the man standing behind him. He trusts his bodyguard to protect him, not to pull the trigger. That trust was what the foreign plotters tried to break, and that trust is what saved his life. But guess what? Traoré's bodyguard rejected everything. $5 million, a foreign passport, a new identity, a lifetime of comfort. He walked away from it all. Why? Because at his core, he is a man built on loyalty, a man with patriotism carved deep into his bones. And then he asked a question so powerful it stunned even those who heard it. Will $5 million make me a king in their strange land, when their own sons and daughters will mock me as a foolish man? That question reveals everything, because we all know the truth. In many Western countries, Africans are not respected. We see it online every day. People calling Africans uncivilized, dirty, useless. Some speak about the continent like it is a burden. Some even suggest Africa should be wiped out. Vile, cruel, inhuman. But that is the reality of the world we live in. And Traoré's bodyguard understood this clearly. He knew that even with millions, he would still be treated as an outsider, still mocked, still looked down on. So he refused. He chose honor over wealth. He chose his homeland over a foreign promise. He chose Traoré over betrayal. For that, he deserves applause. His name may remain hidden, but history will remember him as the man who refused to betray his president. Sadly, not everyone in his position chose the same path. We need only look at the story of Blaise Compaoré, a man who once walked beside Thomas Sankara and ended up delivering the ultimate betrayal. The bond between Blaise Compaoré and Thomas Sankara was not an ordinary friendship. It ran deep. It went back to childhood. Some even say they grew up together. When Blaise lost his father at a young age, it was Sankara's father who stepped in. From that moment, their lives were woven together. They ate from the same plate. They traveled side by side. They shared secrets, dreams, fears. To Sankara, Blaise wasn't just a friend. He was a brother. The kind of brother Proverbs describes as a friend who sticks closer than family. For Sankara, friendship meant loyalty. It meant devotion. It meant trust, no matter the cost. This is why when his bodyguards came to him with disturbing intelligence, proof that Blaise Compaoré was planning a coup, they asked for permission to arrest him, but Sankara refused, and he refused with passion. He said he would never betray friendship, not even to save his own life. If Blaise wanted to overthrow him, Sankara said, then let him do it openly, let him come. It didn't end there. Ghana's Secret Service later discovered an even darker truth. Blaise was not only planning to remove him, he was planning to kill him. Word reached Ghanaian leader J.J. Rawlings. Shocked, he called Sankara personally. He offered help. He offered the power to arrest Blaise and stop the plot before it was too late. But Sankara's answer did not change. He said that Blaise was his friend, and if his friend planned to take his life, then so be it. He placed his fate, and the fate of an entire revolution, in the hands of loyalty, a loyalty he believed in, a loyalty he died for. For Thomas Sankara, arresting Blaise Compaoré would have been the ultimate betrayal, a crime against friendship, a wound that could never heal. Blaise was the man he trusted with everything, the man who knew his parents, his wife, his children, the man Sankara believed would protect his family and his nation if anything ever happened to him. To Sankara, loyalty was sacred. If betrayal ever entered that friendship, it would not come from him. Never. He valued relationships with a depth that very few leaders have ever shown. But sadly, Blaise did not share that same heart. He did not see Sankara through the eyes of brotherhood. He saw opportunity. He saw power. And when France wanted a leader who would obey, Blaise became the willing instrument. He went ahead and orchestrated the coup, a coup that ended the life of the very man who trusted him more than anyone on earth. Sankara was killed not by a foreign bullet, not by an enemy, but by the friend he called a brother. And here's the painful truth. If Traoré's bodyguard had been in Blaise's place, Sankara would almost certainly still be alive today. A single loyal man can save a leader. A single betrayal can destroy a nation. The same tragic pattern played out with Patrice Lumumba, another great African leader brought down not by a foreign soldier, but by a man he trusted, Mobutu Sese Seko. Patrice Lumumba was fiery, brilliant, a voice that shook colonial powers in the late 1950s. He founded the Mouvement National Congolais, the MNC, a party built on unity and true independence, and among the young men who gathered around him was a former journalist and low-ranking soldier, Joseph Mobutu. Mobutu rose fast, very fast. Lumumba saw him as loyal, sharp, dependable. He trusted him enough to send him to the Brussels Round Table Conference, the meeting that shaped Congo's independence. And when Congo finally gained freedom on June 30th, 1960, Lumumba became prime minister. His first major appointment, Mobutu. He made him Secretary of State for National Defense, the man in charge of the entire army. This was more than a job. It was trust. It was brotherhood. It was the ultimate sign that Lumumba believed Mobutu would protect the new Congo. Barely weeks after independence, Congo collapsed into crisis. The army mutinied. Regions like Katanga and South Kasai broke away. Foreign powers worked behind the scenes. And deep divisions emerged between Prime Minister Lumumba and President Kasavubu. In the middle of this chaos, Mobutu began to change. The man Lumumba trusted most, the man he empowered, slowly moved out of his shadow and into the hands of those who wanted Lumumba gone. The seeds of betrayal had been planted. As the crisis in Congo deepened, Mobutu's loyalty began to slip away, slowly at first, then completely. With the United States and Belgium whispering in his ear, powers who saw Lumumba as a dangerous radical aligned with the Soviet Union, Mobutu shifted sides. The man Lumumba trusted now saw his mentor as a threat. In September 1960, Mobutu made his move. He went on national radio and announced a neutralization of all politicians, a polite word, a deceptive word. Because what he really meant was this: he was taking over. He placed Lumumba under house arrest, ending in one moment a political partnership that had shaped Congo's independence. It was betrayal delivered with military boots and foreign backing, but the worst betrayal was still to come. In December 1960, as Lumumba attempted to escape and rally support in the east, Mobutu's forces captured him, and instead of protecting him, Mobutu handed him over to his enemies in Katanga, a region controlled by Moise Tshombe and guarded by Belgian mercenaries. Lumumba had no chance. On January 17, 1961, he was executed in Katanga under horrific conditions. Mobutu did not pull the trigger, but he opened the door, turned on the light, and guided his captors straight to him. Another African patriot eliminated, another friend turned into an enemy, and this tragedy is not unique. Gaddafi was betrayed by a fellow African leader, Uganda's President Museveni, and ultimately killed by his own countrymen. There are dozens of similar stories, different countries, different eras. But one pattern remains the same. Every African leader who dares to challenge Western power becomes a target. Every leader who refuses to obey is removed, violently or politically. But look at the leaders who serve Western interests. They rule for decades. They face no coups, no assassinations, no foreign interference. The contrast is not a coincidence. It is a strategy. Take, for example, Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea. These two African countries are led by African leaders who have ruled for more than 3 decades. These leaders have ruled so much that they are called African presidents for life because they have shown no sign of stepping down. Now, if their rule had made their countries great, nobody would have a problem with the ruling. However, these two countries are among the poorest in Africa, yet their leaders are living in affluence and wealth. Despite these, you would never hear the West call these two African leaders dictators. Instead, they are hailed as allies because these leaders are pro-West and support their interests. This has, however, promoted corruption, poverty, and decades of underdevelopment because the African leaders who are all weak usually look the other way to allow the West unrestricted access to their resources. In exchange, these African leaders can loot as much funds as they want and rule as long as they like, without the international community condemning them. The only thing they have to do is conduct a farce election so that the West can continue to say that they are upholders of democracy. We have seen this happen over and over again before our very eyes. However, African leaders like Traoré are termed dictators and end up dead, assassinated by local forces influenced by the West. But thankfully, Traoré has been lucky so far, evading every attempt thrown his way. But it's not really surprising though, because as Traoré said, Burkina Faso is not a democracy, but a revolution. The West can say whatever they want, but we stand with President Traoré. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to our channel.